Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. We are about to start the live judging of the landscape and camera category, and we have a wonderful panel of judges sitting there waiting to come in and join us. We are now going to view the video just from our sponsor, Lumix, who we hugely appreciate their sponsorship of this category this year. What we will then do is go through a run through of the entries that have come through to the live judging today. The slideshow you've just seen is a preview of all entries entered into the landscape and camera category for this year's 2020 IRIS Awards. Okay, take it away. Oh God, I'm not watching. And that was the slideshow of all entries, the entries that have come through to the live judging for the landscape and camera category. Now we want to thank Andrew and the team at Lacklands. They've once again shown enormous support in sponsoring the landscape category for the IRIS Awards. Last year, the decision was made to judge the landscape category in 2 sections, landscape and camera and landscape open. However, we were only ever able to present 1 award. This year, due to unprecedented entry numbers and through the generosity of Lumix, we are able to award a prize for both sections. And we want to thank Lacklands and Lumix for supporting this year's event. So, category descriptor. The landscape and camera section is intended for landscape photographs that depict the natural or urban environment. Entries must closely represent the authenticity of the original scene. Aerial images are permitted and includes images taken from equipment such as drones, aircraft, helicopters, or even hot air balloons. Now we're going to get straight into it, and I'm going to get all of the judges to just say a very quick hello and introduce themselves, and then we'll get straight into the judging. So I'm going to start with Mike. Unmute yourselves, judges, and then...
I'm Mike Langford, based in Twizel, New Zealand, that is. I'm a Grand Master of both the Australian and New Zealand Institutes of Professional Photography, and I love landscapes.
Awesome. Thank you. Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie, and I live with Mike in Twizel. In fact, we're married, and we're married to landscape photography too. We take lots of trips around New Zealand, and yeah, that's it. That's enough for me. Love this section.
Selena.
Yeah, hi, I'm Selena Rollison. I'm from Brisbane. I'm an AIPP and WPPI Master Photographer. Landscapes is actually what got me into photography in the first place, and being able to take images in camera is something I absolutely love doing. So I'm really looking forward to being involved with this category.
Thank you. Bruce.
Hi everyone, I'm Bruce Girdwood. I'm from Greytown in the lovely Wairarapa. I'm a fellow of the Photographic Society of New Zealand, and I also chair their honours board, which has been a real privilege. And landscape, like Selena, is also what got me into photography, and I'm really looking forward to the excitement of today.
Fantastic. And Matt?
Everyone, I'm Matt in Australia. I'm the Australian Landscape Photographer of the Year for last year, and really love landscapes, and the run through looks amazing.
Awesome. Glenn, coming to you.
Yeah, hi there. I run one-day photography tours out of Queenstown. I'm a jet set to the landscape. That's what I do to make sense of my place in the world, and it's a real honour to be judging here. I'm so looking forward.
Awesome. Thank you, Glenn. Paul. Unmute yourself, Paul.
I like talking to myself sometimes. Morning, everyone. Literally morning. Sun just come up here in this beautiful wild island, Tasmania, where I live. And one of the reasons I live here is because it's one of the great landscapes of the world. And I'm lucky enough to be the 7 times Tasmanian Landscape Photographer of the Year. Live, breathe, and love it. And I'm very privileged to be here today.
Thank you very much, Paul. Okay, we are going to get straight into it. Can I have on the judge? Oh, Mandarin!
Hey.
Where did you come from?
I
can't see everyone. That's why. Mandarin. Here we go. Sorry,
Hello.
Mandarin.
That's okay, Kay. Hi, everyone. I'm Mandarin. I'm from Melbourne. A very proud AIPP member, master with 4 bars, and very happy recipient of the Ilford Trophy in 2019 at APA for a landscape image that I created conceptually. So extremely impressed by the high standard of all these in-camera landscapes and really excited to judge them.
Awesome, thank you. And we will have Tony Carter joining us shortly. Okay, we're going to, if I can please ask onto the panel, Selena, Mike, Glenn, Paul and Mandarin. And for those that don't know me, my name's Kay. I'm going to be panel chairing today. And let's start with, so if everyone else can actually just mute your video and audio, and we'll start. So I'm going to start with the first image, please. So the in-camera component of the landscape category is where entries are pretty much as is shot through the camera rather than having too much post-production applied to it. They are allowed to do tonal control changes, color, a little bit of color control, but things must be pretty close to what is seen in camera. And we have a score of 73. I'm going to come to Paul for you're challenging. Go for it.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, let's get out of our seats, everyone. I feel like at first it's a little bit easy to pass over this one, but when you spend time with it, it has an absolutely gorgeous amount of texture, coloration. The lighting is quite beautiful. It has this diagonal flow running through it. It has a beautiful little entry line coming in with this man-made kind of track that then leads up to this curious little discovery of this figure on the top right that's shooting landscapes. And I feel like the lighting and the composition works quite beautifully. It has a sort of graphic presentation with the square, the trees beautifully in the thirds. There's a couple of little extra add-ins there if you look for with the man-made elements. And it speaks quite beautifully of an understanding of light and texture as well. So I'm actually in bronze.
Right. Glenn, I'm going to come to you. You're on 68.
Yeah, at 68, the reason I put it down there was I did appreciate a lot of what you said there, Paul, but if they'd used a larger depth of field and really flattened those things off so that person appeared to almost be standing on the top of the tree rather than being quite out of focus in the background. And I just felt the light quality, although there were some nice angles to the light, there wasn't a lot of rich saturation or colour, all the things we've come to sort of help us tell a story with a photograph like this.
Thank you. Mike, you're wanting to comment.
Yeah, there's just a few mergers that are quite distracting that could have very easily in camera been avoided. One of them being the white pot at the bottom right. Also the merger of the person in the tree in the center of the tree, and then the slight merger of the person at the top of the tree. They're all things that could have very easily been avoided.
Thank you. Paul, coming back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, I hear it probably depends on where they're standing, Mike. They're standing on the edge of a precipice, and one step to the left might have tipped them over the edge. Glenn, I feel like coloration-wise, I feel like the richness and saturation of the greens is kind of the highlight, and I feel like the beautiful pastel tonality of the tones behind us is actually kind of what makes it for me. And that side lighting really brings alive this combination of textures and tone. Is really quite deliciously presented and well captured exposure-wise all the way through the frame. I might have gone a little bit higher if the person was right on the tip. That's probably one element, and I didn't notice that little pot there, Mike. So well seen. But I do feel like it's graphically very strong and a beautiful exploration of texture, color, and light together. So I'm in bronze. Feel free to come join.
Can I get judges to rescore, please? Just waiting on a couple of scores coming through. Paul, can you please enter the same score? Mandarin. Sorry, guys, I'm going to keep you on your toes today. That come through? No. Yep, it has. And it scores 74. So solid professional practice. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 73 and all very consistent there. I'm going to call on Mandarin for a quick comment, please.
Lovely tonality. I love the depth of the colour. I always encourage landscape photographers, one of the most important things is to make sure your horizon is straight, and I think it's a little crooked here. So just work on those things and that'll really help you.
Thank you, that's wonderful. Can we have the next image, please? Is that a red card there, Paul?
No, just framing.
Oh, okay, that's all good then. And we have a score of 78, a solid bronze award. And I'm going to call on Glenn for a comment, please.
I really like this image, wanted it to go higher. Just found the third figure a little bit distracting along with what's happening on the wall on the right-hand side. But an intriguing photograph. Well done to the photographer.
Thank you. Can we have the next image, please? So it was a solid bronze award, 78. And we have a score of 75, bronze award. And again, all reasonably consistent. Mike, have you got a comment for the photographer?
Yeah, I think tonally, if they'd separated out the lower, probably third, given us more tonal separation, it would have elevated it even further.
Thank you. Good feedback there. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 73. And I'm going to call on Selena for a comment, please.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the tonality and the colours palette of this image. I think what pulled it down for me, I would have loved a little bit more space at the top and the bottom to see a little bit more about where this is. It just feels too tightly cropped.
Fantastic. Can we have the next image, please? So all the judges are judging the images via a PDF, which gives them the best quality possible that we can provide them. And they're all judging on quality monitors that are calibrated to give the best view of the entry. And we have a score of 73. And I'm going to call on Glenn again for a... Oh, Mike, have you got a comment?
Yeah, I just feel as if the inclusion of the sky is really detracting from the power, which is the tree. And I think a tighter crop would have made it much stronger.
Thank you. Can we have the next image, please? Michael, can we have the next image? Thank you. Scores, please, judges. And we have a score of 76, bronze award. And we're going to have a challenge from Selena.
Yeah, I had to check I was far enough away then. Yeah, look, I really enjoyed this image and I think it deserves a little bit more than a bronze. The cropping could have been improved. That's the first thing I'm going to say. I would have liked a little bit less on the left-hand side. But the interesting thing about this is it's an aerial, but it could also be, like, I find there's an interesting shape to it. The fact that there's the ladder that goes off to the right hand side makes me think about, you know, climbing out to the side. Yeah, I just really enjoyed the composition of it, the placement of that cyclist right in that area of the frame, and then the tonality. And I've really enjoyed this. I really would love to see this go up to a silver.
Thank you. Can I come to Mike for a comment, please?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Selena. I think it's an incredibly strong image on the right. The left-hand side is completely redundant and takes the eye away from the essence of the image, but the cyclist going across the dam. It's a shame because it's there, but it's not there.
Thank you. And Paul, a very quick comment.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like it's visually imbalanced with that weight of black, and perhaps like that inclusion could have been more appropriate if it was maybe a vertical, in terms of it maybe felt like the weight of the water was coming down and being more engaged in the overall narrative of what's going on. But otherwise, the lighting is good, time of day is perfect, and the positioning of the cyclist is bang on.
Thank you. Selena, we're going to come back to you for a right of reply.
Yeah, so all I really heard there was that there wasn't, like, it was a bit of cropping, so I think that, you know, we're sitting in bronze award already, and I think for the tonality, for all the other good things that we've talked about, and all the other the position of the cyclist, and the fact that the photographer here has waited for that decisive moment and positioned us, the cyclist, in that position, and then given us this moment. Yeah, I really think the photographer could be rewarded. I would have gone higher, I think, for this if that black expanse wasn't there. So yeah, I'm sitting on an 82. Would really love to see this go up into the silver range to reward the photographer for, you know, so that great vision.
Thank you. Judges, can I get you all to rescore? Selena, you put your same score in. And we have a score of 78. It has moved a couple of points, and every point counts with the judging in terms of who goes through to the finals. Can we have the next image, please? Scores, please, judges. And we have a score of 76, bronze award. And we're going to have a challenge from Mandarin.
Yeah, thanks, Kay. I believe this is in the silver range. It reminds me of those sort of Where's Wally images, or some of the jigsaws I did as a child. I think to be photographed in camera and all the little figures to have their own thing going on, it's sort of almost like the decisive moment. They're all going about their moment painting this structure, and the tonality, the concept, the colours, it's just really well seen. So I think it deserves a few more points.
Okay, everyone else is fairly close. I'm going to come to Mike for a comment, please.
Yeah, I agree with everything you say, Mandarin, but I just feel overall that tonally it's quite flat. Those oranges should be jumping off the page and yelling at us, and the blue, which is a perfect contrast to it, also is quite flat. So I'm sort of quite comfortable where it is.
And I'm going to come back to you for right of reply. Oh, Glenn, if you want a quick comment.
All right, go for it.
You sure? Okay, Mandarin, go for it, Glenn.
I just wanted, a little bit frustrating that there was such a vignette on this image as well. Those corners, although I want my eye to push back in, it is quite a muddy vignette, which emphasises what Mike was saying about the flatness of the blue background, the blue-grey background.
Thank you. Great comment there. Mandarin, back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, thanks for those comments. And yeah, I take on board all of that, and I probably would have scored it higher if the vignette hadn't have been there. As far as the softness of the tones and not popping out as much as you feel they should, Mike, I feel that that's all part of the balance of the image. I feel like if they popped out too much, it'd be a bit overwhelming. And I think that keeping the oranges of the outfits a little bit more subtle is actually quite a mature way of looking at it. And I feel that actually adds to the image rather than detracts from it. So they all sort of work together, both the background, the structure, and the palette of what they're wearing. It's not overwhelming. So I scored it in the silver, and I'd love to see people come up.
Thank you, judges. Can I get you to rescore? Mandarin, if you put the same score in, please. And it has moved 2 points to 78, a solid bronze. Good conversation and some good feedback there for the photographer. Can we have the next image, please? Mike, have you pressed the enter?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, wrong side. Yeah, wrong one.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If you could just remove that other one too when you get a moment.
No, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we have a score of 80, silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. And I'm going to come to Mike. I'm going to come to you for a comment, please.
I think it would be even stronger with less sky, because the element of the tree, especially being isolated by the fogs, made it strong enough with it without diluting it further with such a large sky.
Thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 74, all very, very close there. I'm going to call on Paul for a quick comment. You're right on 74.
Yeah, beautiful time of day and glorious subject to take on. I do feel like the foreground is a little bit messy and a little bit cluttered, and it could have a much more cleaner base to really uphold that gorgeous symmetry and angular design in the sky.
Thank you. Right, we're going to have a judge change. Jackie, I'm going to bring you on for Selena. And Bruce, I'm going to bring you on for Paul. And Mike, you wanting to step down?
Just for a bit, please.
Enough judges left, Kay?
Can you hold it on for a little bit?
Sure.
Thank you. I'll take you off. I'll give you a break shortly.
Okay.
Okay, judges, can we please have the next image? And scores, please, judges. Are you right there, Bruce?
Is that my score not come through?
No.
Try that again.
Just press enter. Once you've entered it, just press enter.
Okay.
Yep, it's perfect. Okay, and we have a score of 82. Silver award, straight to silver. Yeah. I'm going to call on Glenn for a comment, please.
Fantastic colour palette. Really enjoyed the composition and even enjoyed discovering that creature in there with the face, the hand. I couldn't decide whether it disturbed me or I enjoyed it, but well worthy of the silver.
Thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 74. Very high professional standard. And Mike, a comment from you.
Yeah, I would have certainly feel that the structure in the foreground could have been lightened considerably and the sky darkened. It would have balanced the whole image much more.
Awesome, thank you. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 70. All very, very similar range of scores there. Judges, Glenn, a comment for the photographer.
Yeah, a quirky, well-seen image, but the foreground's quite distracting with that grey edge to it across the bottom, and of course the white Annie Milroy, I think it is, on the side there. It's quite distracting, taking me away from the good stuff in the photo.
Awesome, thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 79.
Challenge.
You may as well, Mike, because we are going to be going to a review anyway, so go for it.
Yeah, I gave this 84, luckily. I think the light, the capture of the light hitting the tree and the natural vignette in the background is just perfect. It's glowing, it's showing itself, it's proud, it's great.
Awesome. I'm going to come to Bruce for a comment, please.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this as well. I think I gave this a 73, and I think you know, the beauty of that light, I think, Mike, is lovely. And looking into the background, there's lovely detail coming through. I just felt that on the edges it was just falling off a little bit. So for me, it just, you know, that magical quality was just slowly falling off.
Thank you. Mandarin, a comment from you.
Thanks, Kay. I'm definitely up there with you, Mike. In fact, I probably should have scored a little higher. Everything that everyone said is relevant. One thing that I would add is that the beautiful tonality of the grass under the tree is just lit up superbly, just to draw your eye down to that sad little tree root or whatever it is that's sitting just the lower left of the tree. And it's sort of, it's a really cool, dare I say, juxtaposition between the two, the happy, beautiful tonality of the tree and that sad little tree root. Overall, it's very pleasing. It's beautiful symmetry. So, yeah, I'm in the silver range and I probably should have gone higher.
Okay, Mike, I'm going to come back to you for right of reply.
Okay, look, I appreciate both your comments. Bruce, I agree with you that the vignetting in the corners is a bit overt, but that's what's taken me out of silver with distinction.
Awesome. Judges, rescore. And we have a score of 82, solid silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. We need the little clapping thing going. Okay, can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 80, silver award. And congratulations. I'm going to call on a comment from Mike. Oh, Glenn, go for it. You happy there?
I think I really loved about it was this murky, eerie atmosphere that placed me right there at that time. For it to go up to the next level, and for me it was very close. I gave it an 84. A little more breathing room around the bottom and the left-hand side really helped a lot.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now we're going to do a judge swap. Matt, I'm going to bring you in. Glenn, you can have a little break. I'll get to you shortly, Mike.
Hey, I need a break.
I will get to you very shortly. Can we have the next image, please? One more score, Mandarin. And we have a score of 78, solid bronze award. Can I get a comment from...
Can I challenge?
You can, oh, sorry. No, Mike, you're not quite far enough away, unfortunately. 1, 2, 3. Yes, you can. Actually, no, yes, you can.
I thought my
Tell me. Sorry, my psychic's here telling me no. Yes, you can. You are on 83.
Right. I see this as quite a unique interpretation of stairs on an archway. I can't say I've seen something like this before, which in itself really attracts my eye. I'm forced to look from the bottom to the top, and it's a great range of tones, if nothing else. Beautiful.
Okay, I am going to come to Matt.
Yeah, I thought it was a great juxtaposition of kind of modern and old architectural styles. What held me back a little bit, and I was in the professional standard, was having that greater aperture so that they could carry the details through to the top of the frame and into that brick building. If they did that, I'd probably be up in silver.
Awesome, and a few nods there. So I'm going to bring it right back to you, Mike, for right of reply.
Yeah, look, I had the same concerns, but obviously they didn't affect me as much as you, Matt, so yeah.
Awesome, thank you. Judges, can I get you to rescore, please? And we have a score of 79. So that does mean we will be going to a review. So if you can all head over to your review column. And what you're going to be doing is, if you want to keep it in the bronze, you score at 79. If you wish to see it go to silver, please press 80. And it stays at bronze. Very, very high bronze at that though. Congratulations to the photographer. Mike, I will let you have a little break now. Selena, can I get you to come back in for Mike, please? Okay, can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 71. Solid professional practice. And Jackie, you happy? Yep.
So just the composition's a little bit weighted to the right, the very bright hut on the right needs something to balance it on the left, or either cropping closer to it, and then we have that one idea that's very strong.
Awesome, thank you. Can we have the next image, please? That was an unusual number there, Selena.
That was
yeah, it was. And we have a score of 73. Solid professional practice. Selena, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, sure. My biggest issue with this one was that it was just a bit muddy, and the heaviness sort of around that bottom place of the cloud, it feels like it's not quite right, the processing. So I'm not sure what's happened there, but it's a lovely concept, lovely idea, and I reckon this would be worth revisiting. So go back and have a look at your processing and revisit this one, because I think it's certainly got potential.
Awesome, that's great. And yeah, always good maybe even to get someone else another photographer to maybe guide someone if they're a newer photographer to help them through that process. Can we have the next image, please? Can we have scores, please, judges? Oh, we have got them all in. Okay, we have a score of 69. Matt, have you got a comment for the photographer? Oh, Jackie, you're happy to comment.
Oh yes, just it would be much stronger, I believe, as a panoramic crop along the top, because you've got some lovely foreground, midground, background, and good depth in them.
Awesome, thank you. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 72, solid professional practice. Mandarin, a comment for the photographer.
Sure. Look, I applaud the photographer trying this technique. I think when you're doing any sort of in-camera double exposure or overlay, you need to be aware of what you're doing and be quite decisive in how you produce something, because I feel that this sort of subtracts from the image rather than adds to it. And I'm not sure why it's there. I think the image would have been stronger without it, to be honest.
Awesome, thank you very much. Mandy, I'm going to get you to have a break. Paul, can I get you to come back in, please? And we will have the next image, please. Mandy, there's no need to score this one. I'll just give you a little bit of a break now. Matt, something's happened there. Oh no, all good. And we have a score of 60. 3, 4. No, sorry, my apologies. Who's Paul? Waiting on your score to come through.
You got it?
Yep, and we have a score of 70. That's much better. So solid professional practice, and I'm going to call on Jackie for a comment, please.
Yeah, there seems to be quite a purple colour cast through here that is not adding to the photograph. But the panoramic composition is quite delightful, but that processing has really pulled it down and could be revisited.
Awesome, thank you. Can I have the next image, please? Selena, are you having trouble entering the score? Oh no, it's come through.
No, I just put it in the wrong spot.
Oh, right. It's all good. Okay, so we have a score of 82, solid silver award. However, we are going to have a challenge from Jackie.
Yes, I'd put it at 88. I'd like you to consider a silver distinction. Finding this place and having the eye to crop it just in this way has elevated it up. And it's not easy to find a piece of landscape that has such rhythm and pattern and a delightful presence to it and emotion that I think it's well worth another look. That the tree, I believe that's on the maybe a third of the way in on the left is, for me, that's the key. It's a place for the eye to rest, where the rest of the image has got a lot more trees in it, and I think that's why I really liked it, because there was that point of difference, and then it's really well executed at 85.
Thank you. You're not alone there, but I'm going to come to Paul for a comment who's on 76.
Yeah, I'm just sitting with all those beautiful comments. I really enjoy the level of detail in here, and the atmospherics are quite beautiful. I wasn't sure if I found it was a little bit too wide, and that disparation between the heaviness at the bottom and sort of getting washed out of the top wasn't sort of holding me in frames as much as I'd like. But I feel like I'm definitely going to consider coming up.
Awesome. And Bruce.
Yeah, I absolutely love this image, and I will definitely go up with you, Jackie. I think the subtlety in this image is just amazing, and the ethereal feel that comes from it as you sort of transcend up into the fog and still find some amazing detail up there. I think it's an amazingly made image. It's great.
And thank you, Bruce. Jackie, right of reply.
Yeah, so I think the wideness of that panoramic point of view allows it to envelop you as you stand there and look around it. So it has that effect. And that Bruce has already mentioned that high key up the top is that ethereal kind of emotional content. So I'm asking for a silver distinction at 88.
Thank you. Judges, can I get your Autori score? Jackie, if you can place the same score in. And we have a solid silver distinction at 87. Great judging there, guys. Well done to the photographer. Can we have the next image, please?
I made a mistake there.
Yeah, just change that, Bruce. That's fine. Perfect. Okay, we have a score of 70. And I'm going to come to Paul for a comment, please.
Yeah, personally, I feel like there's one more element that was needed. If you move slightly to the right and just had this beautiful leading line from the wharf out to the island in the background, it might have simplified it and given us a stronger composition.
Thank you. And there, another judge is actually nodding away in agreement with your comment. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 78, a solid bronze award. We are having a challenge from Paul.
Wow, I'm so taken by this incredible dimensional luminosity that's just pouring out of the screen at me. I'm not even sure how it's treated to make that possible. The level of detail is utterly exquisite. The sense of presence of these mountains, the perfect time of day, the handling of very quite difficult exposure conditions, that kind of weight at the top that kind of pulls you back down into those edges of those peaks, those tiny hints of cloud in the background that give that little bit of extra sense of movement and slight sort of depth added to it. I'm in silver. I think this is exquisite.
Thank you,
silver
Paul.
Right?
I'm going to come to Bruce, who's on 72.
Yeah, I mean, I do really enjoy the detail and the lovely crispness that comes through the image. I felt as I sort of looking through the balance of this image, for me, I sort of got a little bit bouncy between the two peaks, and then got lost in the darkness just a little bit. That pulled it down for me, but yeah, nonetheless, an absolutely beautiful image.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, I agree. The dimensionality of this image is stunning. what held me back a little bit was just the treatment on some of the highlights on some of the mountains. And I understand that can be difficult at times, but the highlight on the leftmost peak is really, really quite strong. And there's a couple of other highlights throughout the image that don't retain that detail, that are kind of keeping me from that silver range.
Okay, Paul, back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, I'm just noticing there's sort of added layering as well, especially on the right-hand side, that gives even more depth again, like a staccato sort of effect. Matt, I see those sort of highlights, but they don't detract for me from the communication and the presence, and there's detail where I need to see it and when I want to see it. That darkness at the top, I think, is really important in terms of holding you and giving this antithesis to those brights. It's sort of pushing that tonal range as far as you can go, which is what gives us this luminosity and holds us to this place and gives it that sharp crispness and edge. So I'd love to see this go to silver, guys.
Thank you. Can you all rescore, please? And we have a score of 81, silver award. Good comments there, and I'm sure that photographer is going to be very happy. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 68, and all reasonably consistent scoring there. Paul, comment from you?
I feel like there's a wonderful story here in terms of nature's capacity to destroy what's man is so arrogantly put in place, but it's not separated very well from the background. Perhaps a different kind of lighting or a different kind of aperture might have brought that story forward and not lent us into this confusion and distraction all around.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please?
The slide hasn't come up yet. Okay.
Michael, can I get you to change the image? Thank you. And we have a score of 84. Not quite.
1 point off being out of challenge.
So we have a very solid silver with distinction. I mean, yeah, sorry, solid silver. Paul, do you want to comment, because you've scored at 88, and unfortunately not far enough away.
I don't know how I can comment on how to improve it, but I think the symmetry, the asymmetry, the conversation about modern life, the translucence, the hidden beautiful little subtle element of the person is key. The tonal range is handled superbly. The symmetry is exquisite. Absolutely delightful image.
Thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? Yeah, and that sometimes sucks a bit, because judges can only challenge when they are 5 or more points away from the announced score. And in that instance, it was only 4 points. And we have a score of 73. And Matt, have you got a comment, please, for this photographer?
Yeah, it's got a beautiful painterly feel to it. I feel it could be improved if they just handled the color noise a little bit better, and maybe if there was a tiny bit of detail in those front waves a little bit more, just to hold you in there.
Thank you. Great comments there. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 74. Solid professional practice. Paul, you having a comment there, please?
Yeah, beautiful amount of breathing space around this image, but what I felt like would have brought me up just into that level, just a little bit more texture and detail on that huge amount of negative space, just to give us extra little things to explore and hold us and bring us down a little bit more into the key features down the bottom.
Thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 71. Professional practice. And we're all right with that. Selena, you've got a comment.
Yeah, I was just going to comment, unless someone can challenge it. But
nope.
No, cool. So yeah, I really enjoy this. I think this image has a lot of potential, and a bit of processing changes to processing could actually really help it. I just checked what you can do in this category, and a perspective correction could actually have helped to straighten up those lines and given us a bit more dynamism.
Awesome, thank you. And we're going to do a judge swap. Mandarin, if you can come in, please, and Jackie, you can have a little break. And I'm also going to bring in Tony, who's joined us now. And Paul, you can have a break. It's always good to keep our judges rotated so that they are fresh and don't get too tired from looking at the screen for too long. And can I please have the next image? And we've got Tony. Yep. Okay, we have a score of 79.5, bronze award. And we're going to have a challenge from Tony.
Early start. Yeah, I scored this 87. I'm sort of really fascinated by the ebb and flow of this and the luminosity and the highlights and your eye just runs around it comfortably. Yeah, maybe a few little things going on in the sky there that I'm just trying to figure out. But yeah, I think the colours, hues, are very beautiful and worthy of a silver distinction.
Awesome. I'm going to come to Matt, who's on 69.
Yeah, I enjoyed the flow of it and the feeling that there's like a little bit of a shift in perspective almost as you get from one part, like the bottom of the image, through to the top. I was held back a little bit by areas of highlight along the top edge and around the edges that kind of pulled you away from that main subject in the foreground. And for me personally, I was just looking for something a little bit more to take my eye and keep me there.
Awesome. Is there any other judge? Bruce, you'd like to comment?
Yeah, I would. I love the concept in this image, and I love the liquid silver that I just feel this mercury flowing through this image so strongly. And I love the contrast in the bottom half of the image between that lovely flowing silver and the blackness. And that for me is undone the further up I go the image. So for me, the top part of the image really takes away from that lovely, gorgeous feel. So it broke down a little bit for me.
Fantastic, thank you. Tony, I'm going to come back to you for right of reply.
Yes, I suppose the top half does let it down a wee bit, but I still feel it was worthy of a higher score than what's been given. And yeah, maybe just to the author, you know, congratulations on your work, and maybe think about your cropping a wee bit soon.
Thank you. Can I get you all to rescore, please? And have a 79, so we'll go through a review. So can I get you two judges place either 79 if you wish to keep it in the bronze range, or 80 if you wish to move it to silver. And it stays at 79, bronze, solid bronze award. Thank you, judges. Can we have the next image, please? So where a images or an entry's score ends on a 79 or 89, we ask the judges to decide whether they see it should move to the next award range. So 79 and 89 are on the cusp of the major award ranges. So it does get another opportunity to determine whether it moves or not. And we have a score of 73. And all fairly consistent there. Tony, would you have a comment for this photographer?
Yeah, I think compositionally it's quite strong. Maybe it needs suffers from lack of lighting, and you know that movement is just a little bit there, so it's just sort of a little bit in between on everything. So just think about those things.
Awesome, thank you. Can we have the next image, please? And I'm going to, Mike Langford, can I get you to step in and judge this image? We have Mandarin, just, yeah, perfect. And we have a score of 85, silver with distinction. However, we are going to have a challenge from Tony, who's on 92.
Yeah, I had to push the K for known on this one. I've seen it judged before, I've seen the image around, and I just, so I've lived with it for a while. I think it's stunningly beautiful. Compositionally, it's just so elegant, and I love the texture, and it's just layer upon layer, and it's just so honest, and it's poetic. The color palette is divine, cropping beautiful, finishing stunning, and I just feel that I can roam around this comfortably forever. You know, brave darkness at the top and light at the bottom, but all of those textures just form beautiful layers, and it's a stunning piece of art.
Awesome. And we will come to Bruce, who's on 82.
Yeah, I do really love this image. Yeah, that's a good solid silver for me, and I'd be happy to move up because of, you know, as you say, Tony, that sort of as you work your way through this image and live with it more and more, those little tracks and trails and things that are in that, it takes me right into an old world and space where, you know, my imagination can roam and go to other places, and yeah, it's beautiful.
So I'm going to come to Mike for a comment.
Yeah, Tony, thanks for giving me the opportunity of looking at this longer, because I hadn't seen it before, and the longer I look at it, the more I appreciate its visual depth. Just the colorations and the separation of those. It's almost like it's been layered on top of each other in one capture is pretty incredible. So going gold with you, mate.
Mandarin.
Just very quickly, this image is sublime. If you go in very close, the detail is superb. It looks like a layer of suede and then faded denim and then dirty linen at the bottom. It's just superb. And I was solid silver. What let me down a little is I wondered, was it a little bit too heavy at the top, and perhaps there should have been, it felt a little insipid at the bottom. Maybe there should have been a bit more tonality in it. I'm definitely listening, and I want someone to talk me through that, please.
Tony, you have the right of reply.
Yeah, I think you actually said it yourself, Mandy, that with that darker base coming through on the lower part of the image is actually balancing out the dark at the top. And I never really thought about that until you said it. But yes, so that that's clever in itself. And I just think that it's a very quiet goal. This image doesn't scream at you; it just quietly works away at you. And that's been said by the other judges that they wanted to have time with it. But I just think the more you look at this, the more you'll see it's very poetic in its approach, and it's masterfully seen and finished off. So yeah, come up to gold with me, please.
Okay, judges, can I get you all to rescore, please? And we have a solid gold at 92. Congratulations. Well done. Can I have Matt back in? Thank you, Mike, for stepping in. And we'll have the next image, please. So a judge has the opportunity to step off from judging an entry if they feel they can't score it fairly. It may also be that they may know the image quite well, or they know the photographer and don't feel that they would prefer someone else to step in to provide an unbiased opinion. And we have a score of 80, a silver award. And Tony, you're challenging.
Yeah, well, I have to really. I'm on 86, so it wouldn't be fair if I let this one go. I mean, I think, look, there's no man-made structures in this image. There's nothing that feels anything about man, but this is a power and ferocity of nature there. It's very graphic in its nature. It's you're just seeing that. Look at the smoke plumes there, and I think the composition of it is quite beautiful. How the heaviness of the bottom, and then you've got a bit of a gap with the light coming through, and then bang, you're into the heaviness again. So this is just really affecting me, and I think I first looked at it and thought, wow, maybe black and white, but no, the colour coming through on that, superb. Maybe there's a few little things that I don't like quality-wise to keep me out of gold, but I think it's pretty powerful.
Awesome. Okay, we are coming to Matt for a comment, please.
Yeah, I enjoyed all of the same things that you did and had it in the high professional level. Just to address, there are actually quite a few man-made structures at the base of the second volcano there, and it's kind of scattered around. And I actually would have liked to see more of that, perhaps, and telling a story about the relationship between the people and the volcano, perhaps. But for me, I kind of felt like for such a dramatic moment, it was a little bit flat. And if it had been possible to perhaps get some more directional light later in the day, maybe along the horizon or something, that could have lifted it up. And I was also held back a little bit by that top right corner because I felt like your eye kind of gets drawn to that area.
Awesome. Anyone else wanting to make a comment? Otherwise, Mandarin.
Just very quickly, I adore this image for the subtlety in the tones, the sort of pastely tones. It's kind of incongruent with the subject matter, but I think it works really well. And it's almost like the twin mountains, the non-identical twins, the evil twin one's, you know, perfectly shaped like some sort of cake that's just come out of the oven, and the other one has just exploded. I'm coming up. I'm on silver. I'm going to come up to silver distinction. I think it's been beautifully conceived.
Thank you. Tony, back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, Matt, yeah, there are a few little things, and thanks for pointing those structures out to me. I mean, I think maybe a little part of it and not necessary for the story. I don't think you can tell somebody standing there watching this to come back at a different time of the day. I'll be getting that shot, and I'll be getting the hell out, to be honest. So let's but I'm not going to blow my stack about that. Let's give this. Pretty pleased.
Okay, so judges, please rescore. Well, we don't want you to blow your stack there, Tony.
Not yet, anyway.
Okay, and we have moved to silver with distinction, 85. Congratulations to the photographer. And some good comments there. Can we please have the next image? And we have a score of 84, solid silver award. However, we do have actually two people challenging, but I'm going to go to Tony, who is 92.
Yeah, I bet you all wish you had some of what I had this morning.
That coffee.
It was actually some sleep, probably. But yeah, I scored this 92. For this category, I think I just love the minimalist of this and the braveness of how they presented it. Just holding back all of those details and just showing us the abstract nature, you know, sort of you're held in at the bottom of these beautiful branches, which are all quite, you know, chaotic, but still have an order. And the same with that top, you know, the top left and the fresh shoots on that. And then just that simple abstract line just running through that bottom third. I think it's a piece of abstract art in the landscape and thoroughly deserving of an early gold.
Thank you. I'm going to come to Matt, who is on 76.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the composition and the way it's been presented as well. I felt that the branches at the bottom of the frame were just a bit too heavy, and if they had been those shadows lifted a little bit, maybe it would kind of balance out a little bit better. And I almost feel like the in-camera single exposure has kind of held them back a little bit, because if they had have been able to focus on the ducks, then I think they would have gotten a bit more detail in that section, which is of course really quite difficult to do in camera. So I'm listening.
And we will come back. Mandarin.
Sorry, just very quickly, love this, all the colour palette. It's very subtle with the leaves, just that little pop. One thing that I'd like you to address for me to come up to a gold, because I'm sitting on silver, I could go up to a distinction, is the ducks in the row, that I would have really liked to have seen them horizontal. They're just it's cropped in a way that they're slightly at an angle, and it just seems like it just unbalances it slightly for me. If it had been cropped slightly differently, I would definitely be up in gold.
And Selena, you wanting to comment?
Yeah, well, we are talking about gold here,
Yeah.
so, and I'm sitting on 89, Tony, so I'm up there with you, or very close, and I'm going to be coming up. Matt, I agree with what you said with the heaviness about the bottom, but I think that grounds it. I think it brings you back down, you know, like you've got the leaves and the things that come at the top sort of directs you back down towards the footprints or the ducks, whatever they are, but then it grounds it at the bottom. And yeah, I guess the unbalancedness of nature, Mandy, that's what nature is. It's unbalanced. It's not always perfect. And I think that, you know, if we had have gone a little bit the other way, we might have lost something there. So yeah, look, I'm coming up. I definitely think that for this to have been done in camera and to have been done so beautifully, it's a beautiful piece. So I'll be heading gold too.
Tony, back to you, right of reply.
Yeah, I sort of think, you know, you can't really ask for perfection of things in nature, and just, you know, but I believe in this photographer's vision, and I think just there's a real rhythm to these pieces of this image. You know, your eye just comfortably rolls around it, and there is a rhythm and flow to things, and just even, you know, with that line running through the ducks or whatever, you know, they're just the solid dots running through there. But then if you look at the branches, they've got the dots in them as well. So it's very, very delicate, and I just think it's just very, very clever and an intelligent piece of work, and it'd be great to see it in gold.
Thank you, judges. Can I all get you to rescore? Tony, your score is locked. And we have a gold at 90. Congratulations to the photographer. Exciting news. Okay, can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 80, silver awards. And I am going to come to Matt for a comment, please.
It is a lovely feel and asymmetric balance to this photograph. I couldn't really suggest how it could be improved. I just think the photographer's done a really great job of, you know, a very simple scene, but well presented.
Awesome, thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 80, silver awards. And we are going to call on a comment from Mandarin. Oh, Bruce, you're happy to comment. You wanted to comment.
Yeah, I'm very happy to comment because I really love this image. I love the way that the photographer has, you know, with real simplicity, given us that wonderful gradation of the colors you find in the morning, and the simplicity of the way it captures the top of the trees. It's just lovely. To lift it a little bit higher, I don't know. I think it's made the most of what's there. It's great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 70, solid professional practice. And Matt, you wanting to challenge? Oh, no, you can't challenge it. But you wanting to comment? Yep, we'll have a comment from you.
Yeah, I think the photographer's actually seen a pretty nice moment here and led us with this foreground kind of stream on the beach. I think it's got potential, perhaps if it was just a little bit more subtle, and also if that horizon line on the ocean was straightened, and maybe look at the left-hand side, chopping that off and simplifying it even more. I think there is a good image in here.
Wonderful, thank you for that. I'm sure the photographer will appreciate those comments. Can we have the next image, please? Perfect. And we have a score of 81, solid silver award. And we have a challenge from Tony.
Geez, guys.
What did you eat this morning, Tony?
I'm on 98, and I know this image, and I pushed that button. But I just think this is sublime. In this category, you have to be out there, you know, doing a lot of this work to get something like this. This here, I think, is perfection. Look at the lighting on this. It's superb. The framing on the left and the right in the foreground, the colour palette, the golden hues at the bottom through to the middle. Your eye just rolls up and down this image. There is no problem areas that I can see. Look at that dark base at the top, dark base at the bottom. Beautiful clouds leading you through those hills, but background into that water, which is just full of detail, full of light. It's just all light, dark. It's almost feels like a worked monochrome image in a way. It's just got character in spades. I think it's easily a goal of distinction, especially in this category. Start telling me what the faults are, because I can't see any.
Bruce, I am going to come to you on 70.
I'm a low one, and I do love the qualities in this image. I'm afraid though, my eye just stays around the frame because of the sharpness and the crispness of what's happening around the frame, which is wonderful. And I do get pulled back into the background, but because of the strength and the power of and the visual weight in the foreground, that's for me. I keep coming back to the foreground. So in many ways, that background just doesn't do much for me. And particularly when I get into the tops of the trees in the middle ground, they are quite. They seem very white. I don't know if they're quite overexposed, but when I get in there, they don't hold me. And then again, the darkness in the background doesn't hold me. So I keep coming back to the foreground. And for me, that was quite overwhelming. So that's maybe just the way I see things.
Awesome. Matt, I'm going to come to you. You're sort of in the middle range.
I think most of my thoughts have been summed up. I feel like there's a lot of real estate kind of in that water area, which is mainly supporting that foreground shrub in the center to give it a place to sit with separation. But if we're talking gold, I'd probably want to see a little bit more happening with the water, whether it's another element or a bit more movement or something like that. But I really do enjoy the image, and I've scored it pretty well.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you now for right reply, Tony.
Yeah, I think this image is not about movement, it's about stillness. Stillness and light. And to address the framing on the foreground and the brightness, I believe that's the crispness of the air and the freshness but look, it's just full of fine detail. and just perfectly framed. My photography radar just went bang when I saw this. You know, you've got the brightness around the edges, but you know, the middle of the image is actually brighter. So you sort of do go into there, and when you go there, you're not disappointed. From there, you sort of do just roll around those hills into those darker little pockets. I think it's, you know, it really is a superior piece of communication in this genre. Stunning. Come up to gold at least, pretty please.
Awesome, guys. Can I get you all to rescore, please? And we have a solid silver distinction at 86. Very good talking there, though, Tony. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 70. And can I get a comment from Bruce?
You're picking on me, Kay.
I am, aren't I?
That's right. There is, I think the thing that I scored this at, what was that, 77. So that was a solid bronze for me. And I just love the sensual feel of this image. And I would have gone higher if this, if the image had a bit more crispness. It wasn't quite so muddy. And the weight of the white on the top was a little bit overwhelming in terms of the balance of the composition. But I just love the concept in this image very much and wanted to.
Thank you. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 76, bronze award. We are going to have a challenge from Matt.
I just think the texture and the detail in this image is so incredible, and it's been processed in a really respectful way to the subject material. It's a pretty banal scene, and it would be easy to overlook it, but I just want to reward the photographer for creating something that's so textured and intriguing out of something that's you know, a fairly plain subject matter. I feel like there's little bits of detail where you need them in terms of those little bits of earth that are kind of bulging upwards, and you can see a little bit of interaction with the light in terms of it's just slowly and gently making those areas behind those little bumps a different shade of grey. So I just encourage you to have a bit more of a look and see what you think.
And Bruce, I'm going to pick on you again at 70.
I've been a bit mean again. I love the detail and the texture in this image, and I just feel a little bit more structure would have brought this up for me quite significantly. There is a very subtle pathway through the middle, so it does leave me thinking about perhaps footprints or something of that nature, so something sort of working its way through. But for me, it's just too subtle, and it's more about the texture than any subject matter. So for me, that just brought it down. But you know, the quality of the images is the production is great.
Mandarin, do you have any comments to make? You're sort of sitting in that middle range.
Yeah, I am, and I scored at a bronze. Look, I can come up. I think technically it's really superb. I feel that the two little sections on the lower left are a little bit more heavy-handed than everywhere else, which is quite subtle and stunning. So I'm struggling to sort of. I know my eye's being led around, and that is all good and well, but I keep being drawn back to the lower left, which is quite inconsistent with the way I want to read it. And I wonder if the photographer actually worked a little bit more on some of these other areas. There's a little sort of squiggly bit around the middle area that they could have sort of burnt in a smidge to sort of add to, more to the helping our eye move to where it needs to move.
Thank you. Matt, I'm going to come back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys have said, and I kind of take those suggestions and still kind of put it into the silver range. I feel like there, in terms of direction and where to look and that kind of thing, there is a pretty intentional right to left kind of movement, and that darker spot on the bottom left is a place to kind of end up before you then go and re-explore all of the texture and the different shapes. So yeah, I'll just say come up to silver.
Thank you, judges. Can I get you to rescore, please? And we have a score of 81. Silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Can we have the next print, please? Next image, please, not print. And it's so sad that we can't see a lot of these in print because, oh my gosh, I think, yeah, can't go past printing. And we have a score of 73. Well, reasonably close there. And can I get a comment from Mandarin?
Yeah, I love images like this where there's motion and it is about the emotion. Where I think the photographer could really work on improving images such as this is look at the color palette. The yellow in the sky is a little bit sort of greenish, and it's just doesn't quite fit in. Also, it looks potentially like it's been processed in 8-bit because it looks a little bandy. So just always try and process in 16-bit if you can.
Thank you, Mandy. Lovely comments there. Can I please have the next image? And we have a score of 92, Gold Award. Congratulations. And we have a challenge. So I'm actually going to go to Bruce, who is on 97. You are not alone by any stretch.
Oh, very good. I just love this image. What screamed at me the moment, and I really mean screamed because this image screams everything. I'm a country bumpkin living in the Wairarapa, minding my own little business in my little space, and I get into a city like this, and this is how it feels. It just screams at me, and my head goes into a spin, and so I really identify strongly with this. But as you explore this image, and I think there's another one of those images that require a lot of time to work and wander around. There's little vignettes all over the place that that I engage with, and there's lots of little stories, and I think it's incredibly clever, and the composition that just draws you into this, sort of dark hole of a city, for me is just hugely powerful, and I think being brilliantly put together.
Okay, I'm going to come to Selena on 87.
And 87 being the lowest, that's crazy. Yeah, look, I think I've sat with this. I think that's what I needed. It was just a bit more time. I think the reason I've kept it or put it where I've put it is the blackness, sort of the heaviness of the black on the right hand side, and then that quite bright light area at the top. But look, I'm definitely listening and I'm sitting with it and I'm enjoying it more that I sit with it and I'm finding more. So I will be coming up. I'm not sure where I'll go yet, but I'm listening. But yeah, quite an interesting and intriguing image for sure.
Mandarin, you were right on the 91, close to that where it sat.
Yes, and I definitely wanted to speak about this because I think for a photographer to be able to so masterfully layer those images together and just evoke this sort of emotion is quite extraordinary. I'll address what Selena said with the dark space on the right. I think it actually really adds to the story. When I look at this image, my eye is drawn to the two posters on the left, the lower girls. They're just oblivious. They're drinking their soda pop, whatever it is. And it's sort of in keeping with all the little, ant people on the street below. And then you've got this menacing looking guy above, and it's quite foreboding. So I think you can really gather a lot in the story. And maybe it's because of, the state of what we're in at the moment. It really speaks to me. So I will be going up to gold distinction.
Thank you. Tony, you're wanting to have a comment.
Yeah, I'm on 97, so, I know this image well. But yeah, it's just one of those images, as soon as it comes up, you're like, pow. I just roamed comfortably around everywhere here. You get the frantic feel of a city, you get the grunge. It just vibrates back at you, this image. And you just your eye, this sort of multiple exposure is absolutely stunning. Your eye can just find little bits of detail everywhere, but it's beautiful detail. It's not jarring. Just a very poetic image that's balanced left and right with the white signage to that dark spot on the right hand side in the grating. So it's just masterfully done, and it's stunning. The light coming through the centre of the image is what holds it all together, and it's a good solid gold with distinction. 97.
Thank you. And I am going to now come back to Bruce for right of reply.
All those great comments. I just invite you to come up there. This is a really difficult image to make. I mean, I've done a lot of these multiple exposures, and to be able to get the level of communication with this number of exposures in camera with the storytelling that goes on with this, for me, is just absolutely masterful. And I'd really invite you to be brave in recognizing this image.
Thank you. Judges, you can rescore. Bruce, if you need to put the same score in, all judges have the opportunity to change their scores. We have a score of 98. Solid gold distinction. Congratulations to the photographer. Okay, just take a deep breath. Calm. Okay, can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 71. Solid professional practice. And I'm going to Matt. Would you be able to provide a comment, please, for the photographer?
Yeah, the photographers used a longer exposure well and gotten a few of those seagulls sharp, while some other ones are captured in movement. I feel like to improve it, perhaps looking for a simpler composition, or coming at a different time of day where you've got a different quality and perhaps change in colour of the light. At the moment, it's quite blue.
Awesome, thank you. Next image, please. And we have a score of 71. Solid professional practice. And I'm going to call on Mandarin for a comment, please.
Interesting exercise in graphics. The photographer's done a pretty good job of lining up, horizontals and verticals. Points of improvement would be to actually think very carefully about cropping, and perhaps crop a tiny bit off the right-hand side so that that square shape in the middle is lined up as it is on the left, and perhaps even a little bit of cropping or burning in at the bottom so your focus is more on that central element.
Thank you. Great comments there. Can we have the next image, please? And we're going to have a change there. Tony, Glenn, are you able to come in for Tony? I might just do a judge swap there, if you wouldn't mind. Tony, you can have a break. Bonus of having these awards run digitally this year is the judges can swap in and out pretty quickly. And we have a score of 70. And Selena, have you got something you can say for this image?
Yeah, my biggest piece of advice is just to again play with some processing. It's just very flat and a bit grainy, and the detail sort of in that foreground where there's the boats and stuff like that, it's a bit hard to decipher and understand. So just a bit of separation through processing would be great.
Awesome, thank you very much. Next image, please. Let me get your score, please, Mandy. And we have a score of 75, bronze award. And we're all happy with that. So I am going to get a comment from Matt, please. Oh, are you wanting to comment there, Glenn?
Yeah, if I can.
Yeah.
Really enjoy the central composition. I think that works nicely. There was lots going on. There's a bit of a natural sort of dodging glow around the tree that dragged this image down for me.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please?
Okay.
And I'm going to just do... Mike, are you able to step in for Matt for a moment?
Me too, please, Kate.
And
if possible.
Tony, can I get you to step in? Oh, Jackie, can I get you to step in for Selena? In fact, Selena, you might as well just take a break and Jackie can hang around.
Perfect, thank you.
Mike, if you can just step in for this image. Mike, are you around? Tony, can I get you to come in, please? For Matt, thank you. And we have a score of 70. And we are okay with that. So I'm going to get a comment from Tony.
I really enjoy the layers, but there's not a lot of sharpness going.
Actually, can I just hold fire on that? Sorry, Tony. Who's not put their score in?
I think Jackie and Mike are missing.
No, we've tis two. Sorry, we are okay. Who's sitting in the wings there? Paul, can I? We've got Tony. Paul, can I get you to jump in, please, for Selena?
No problem.
Thank you. And score this image. My apologies. We only had 4 scores to look at then.
I feel like you forgot about me. Okay.
No, I haven't forgotten about you. Just rotating all the judges. We've got a strong panel of good judges this time. So we have a score of 78, Solid Bronze Award. And I'm going to get a comment from Tony, please.
Yeah, I scored it right on that average. So yeah, I think it's a great exercise in texture, and your eye flows around it quite nicely. But maybe it is all a bit too similar in a way to go any higher. But yeah, but a beautiful exercise in textures.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll just bring Selena back in. Sorry, Paul, do need to have you step off for a moment. And Matt can come back in. Is that what yeah.
Am I back out now, or am I?
Yep. Matt's going to take over just for a moment. Thanks, Tony. We'll bring you back in shortly.
Mike and Jackie are back too.
Oh, fantastic. Can we please have the next image? Just trying to see everyone on my screen. Always muting. And we have a score of 74, all very, very close. And Matt, are you happy to comment?
Yep. Yeah, this one was pretty close to an award for me. I really enjoyed the almost graphic design that they're doing with these banal fence posts, and also the discovery of the plants underneath, so some sort of crop. I feel like if they had have paid a little bit more attention to the edges of each of the borders and not had the dark posts on those edges, as well as just having a little bit more detail for us to hold on to in that foreground, it would have lifted it up quite a bit.
Awesome, thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 76, solid bronze award. And again, all reasonably consistent there. Matt, I'm going to come to, oh, Mandarin, you've got a comment.
Oh, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this image is stunning, actually. It's beautifully conceived. The time exposure is done to the right amount. The cropping, the level of where the horizon line is perfect. Point of improvement. I would have liked to have seen those signs be a little bit more crisp. They look a little soft when you zoom in. So they are the focus, and make sure they are.
Thank you very much. And can we please have the next image? And we have a score of 78. Solid bronze award. And we are having a challenge from Bruce.
Yeah, I love this image. I gave it a score of 92. I love the style of the image. It just, you know, the white's a little bit blown out in this blown out landscape, which just screams of heat and desolation. And then you've got this road that goes through it, and it doesn't look like a well-run, well-used road. And then there's this man on his bicycle that's not even using the road, and he's driving into nowhere, and he's well-dressed, and it just begs questions. And then I just look at the desperation that sits around this image, and I think there's some really lovely little stories in each one of those little patches that I find, and I just love it. So there you go. And I
Thank you. Awesome. I'm going to come to Glenn, who is on 68.
Yeah, I marked it down there at 68, just because although it was nice to discover the cyclist in there, I then went hunting for something else, and there was no other nuggets of activity. There was just this dead zone. And perhaps that's the point of the photograph. But then technically it really did start to crumble for me on my screen, both in the sky and of course the edges on both sides. Yeah, I wanted more from this and just didn't end up getting it. But there may be something I've missed in this. Keep talking.
Thank you. Matt, comment from you.
I was in silver for many of the positive reasons brought forward. In terms of another nugget, there is that dog that's kind of rounding the corner and your eyes drawn to it because of that coloured vehicle in the foreground. So I quite enjoyed that little moment there. What kind of held me back from the silver distinctions and higher was just a little bit of attention to what's on the edges of the frame, particularly in the bottom right and on the right-hand side. However, I scored it silver and think it should be in that range.
Fantastic. And we are going Mandarin.
One very quick point that I think it needs to be said. I'm on bronze. I'm willing to come up. It's not Glenn Ansel Adams' Moonrise over Hernandez, and we know that that's a stunning landscape. However, what this evokes is that washed out colour palette that you see on old postcards from the 70s and 80s even. So I think if that was intentional, I think that's been masterfully done.
Thank you. Bruce, back to you for right of reply.
I love that kind, Mandarin. Thank you very much about that style of the postcard in the 70s. Just going back to the messiness, this is a messy image. Everything in there is a mess. So I'm not too bothered about what happens on the edges because that in many ways reinforces the mess. And the other thing that sort of comes to my mind, given, you know, there is a dog, but there's not, you don't see too many other people around as commented, but is this the last man leaving? You know, there's all of these sort of things conjure up in my mind. So I think this is an amazing image, and I can't change, but I'd really love it to be better than do well.
Awesome. Judges, can I get you all to rescore, please? So Bruce, you hold your score at 92. All other judges can change their score if they wish. And we have a score of 84, silver award, solid silver. Good comments there, good discussion. And we'll have the next image, please. And we have a score of 79. Now, it doesn't mean that anyone can challenge, unfortunately, but it does mean that we're having a review of the score. So if you can head over to your review score section, and I'm going to ask you to place either 79 to keep it at bronze or 80 if you wish to move it to silver. And it always requires a majority of judges to enable that move to happen. Just waiting on your score, Mandy.
Oh, I put it in. Sorry, should it have been
in the review column. Perfect. And it has moved to 80, silver award. Congratulations to the photographer. Okay, we are going to take a short break. So judges, Matt. Oh, comment. Comment. My apologies.
Okay, I'll comment since I'm waving my hand around. I think beautiful classic landscape, capturing that first light of the day. It's been done really quite well. The only suggestion that I could make to improve it is perhaps just to dull down the light on that foreground hill a little bit, because its proximity to the first light actually draws your eye to that hill, and that's probably not where we want to be looking.
Thank you, Matt, for reminding me about getting that comment. And we will take a little break. So we're going to do a run through of all of the entries in the category, and then we'll have a little promo from our sponsor, who is Lumix, and the wonderful guys at Lacklands, and then we'll be right back into judging with a few judge changes.
Panasonic.
Okay, so we are currently judging the landscape and camera category. And thank you to our sponsors Lumix and the team, Andrew and the team at Lacklands, for the opportunity to offer 2 awards for the landscape category, one for the landscape in camera and one for the landscape open, which is being judged tomorrow. So let's get back into the judging. I'm going to just call into the panel. We're having a judge change. I'm going to ask Jackie, Tony, Paul, Mike and Glenn to hang around, and if the rest of you can mute your audio and visual, and we'll get straight back into the judging. So can we have the next image, please? Judges today are all incredibly experienced and talented judges who all work within the landscape genre, and their experience and knowledge of the genre and their experience as judges and their ability to articulate and provide fantastic feedback is all shining through today. Can we have a score? Yep, we've got it all now. Okay, and we have a score. No, we have missing one still. What have we got there? Jackie, Tony, you're not on with us. Just waiting on your, is Tony there?
See him.
Yep, he's there. Tony, are you on the panel here with us? No, I might get, Matt, can I get you to pop in and judge this entry until we get Tony back in?
Sure.
And we have a score of 73, solid professional
Challenge.
practice. And we have a challenge from Paul, who is on 84.
Yeah, on solid silver, I feel like there's a very beautifully understated tonality here. A beautiful elegance and flow left to right. We're given a lot of breathing room. The sky looks like it's almost on molten fire. There's a beautiful base. There's a lovely use of netting to just pull us back and hold us very clearly where it wants us to be held. There's this little pop of light, like the very first tip on the right there. It's almost like the finger of God just saying hello to the landscape. And there's lovely detail up close. It's a beautiful, flowing, elegant landscape with wonderful breathing room and presentation. I'm on silver.
Okay, and we're going to go to Jackie, who is on 65.
Wow. Sorry, Paul, are you looking at the same photograph I am? Black and white photograph? Because I can't see the molten fire.
Oh, you know what? I am looking at the wrong one. My apologies. I made a big stuff up there. Oh, sorry, Kay. That's a major boo-boo. You've had me off too long.
So you just need to go to a black and white landscape.
Yeah. What do we do there, Kay?
What do you do, Kay?
God, it's so
Kay, your mic's off.
Sorry, we are currently on slide 53. Paul, if you can delete your score.
Just delete
and if you can locate that image.
Yeah, I've got it. Sorry, everyone.
And if you can score that image. It's all right. These things happen. And we have a score of 70. So our apologies to the photographer, getting a little bit excited there for themselves. Mike, can I get a comment from you?
Sure. Look, I feel it's the crop's not quite right, a little off the right-hand side, and just lift those tones in the center so that we actually focus somewhere.
Thank you very much. Tony, are you around? Not sure whether he's around. Matt, I might need you to, oh no, there he is. There he is. Okay, so we have on the panel Jackie, Tony, Paul, Mike, and Glenn. Okay, can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 76, bronze award.
I'll challenge that.
You can challenge that, Jackie. Go for it.
Yes, I believe in this photograph. I've had multiple exposure. I've given it 85. It's the idea of two takes from the same place, giving me more of a narrative and a sense of place from that. Regardless of that, just sort of squinting your eyes a little bit, you can see how the highlights have been really carefully orchestrated around that frame to lead you in and out of the inside space of an old hut to the outside through the window, and I think it's been very well put together. The horizon line being crooked, that's kind of quirkiness that I'm fine with. There's a little bit of blue on that tree which disturbs me. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm able to forgive it. And yeah, the vignette holds my eye in. I think it's been pushed around and somebody's really enjoyed creating this in camera.
Thank you. I'm going to come to Tony for a comment. He's on 70.
Yeah, I suppose I was really drawn to that blue coloration, and I sort of felt there was a little bit of a lack of control. Maybe it was that horizon leading through, on the lane. So yeah, so maybe I just wasn't too convinced by all the elements, but I will listen and come up.
Paul, a comment from you?
Yeah, I feel beautifully held by the left-hand side of the image. The tonal range is gorgeous, and that interplay of dynamics and shapes and geometry. But I'm a little bit confused still about the right-hand side of the image, and particularly that garish sort of blue and amongst these gorgeous sort of black and white tonalities. So if you can tie that in for me, Jackie, I'll be considering coming up.
Thank you. And we have a right of reply from Jackie.
Okay, I guess the blue pulls you out the door. Maybe that's where the colour is. On that right-hand side, there is just a profile of a couch, an old couch, having a conversation with this chair on the other side. And I didn't notice that at first, but that helps pull my eye into that left-hand side and my eye to roam around. If it hadn't had that blue tone, I think I would have been up at 88, even higher. So yeah, that's where I'm sitting. Silver distinction. 85.
Thank you. Can we please rescore the image? Jackie, if you hold your score. And we have a solid silver at 82. Congratulations. And all judges came with you there. Congratulations to the photographer. Can we have the next image, please? So entrance into the IRIS Awards, members of the NZIPP and members of any reciprocal rights organisations who also run similar awards earn merit points through earning bronze, silvers and golds. And we have a score of 70. And I'm going to call on Paul.
Yeah, I feel like atmospherically it's gorgeous, but the strength of the image is really on the lower half, and I feel like perhaps cropping down and really bringing in on that beautiful detail and the atmosphere there is more than enough, and probably would make it stronger.
Awesome, thank you. Good comments there. Can we have the next image, please? So those merit points go towards an entrant or a member earning distinctions, which are the associate level, master, master with distinction, and grandmaster levels. And we have several grandmasters in our panel today. And we have a score of 80 silver awards. Well done. And can we have a comment from Tony Carter?
Yeah, I really enjoy this image for that feeling of starkness and coolness. And I think it's been handling very well, but I just maybe to bring it up higher would be good to see a bit more of it expands out to the left, but I do really enjoy this image.
Awesome, thank you. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 78, a bronze award. And we have Jackie, who wants to challenge.
Yeah, so 183. So I'm a little bit more of a discussion on this one. The beautiful compositional balance, we can't fault that. The two boxes, the photographer's gear, or maybe it's, I'm not sure what else, but it can't take anything away out of the frame to disrupt that balance. And great black and white tones. And the idea is the big ball of light that's the photographer's bringing daylight, into a nighttime scene. I thought it was a silver 83.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to come to you for a comment on 70.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Jackie said as usual. But I'm really distracted by the photographer's light, which is totally dominating my eye and killing the atmospherics that this image has. So.
Awesome. And Paul, a comment?
Jackie, I'm up with you on 82. I was very intrigued by the potential narrative of these suitcases even. And I feel like, Mike, there's an interplay between this glow of light and the sort of top left, almost like sucking away of light. It's sort of the immersion and the pulling back, and they both have a circular kind of outward expression that kind of meet each other in the middle of this image. Beautifully framed as well. I would have liked maybe a little bit more detail on the trees and the blacks, but I feel wonderfully held and very happy and comfortable in silver.
Fantastic. Jackie, back to you for a right of reply.
Yeah, maybe that light was going to go down inside that building with the dark hole, but it is the light that's giving us daylight. And it is a good balance for that really bright light with all that negative space around it. I'm on 83 and asking you to see how you feel about it now.
Awesome. Judges, please rescore. And everyone has moved their scores, and we now have a solid silver at 81. Congratulations to the photographer. Oh, sorry, 83. Congratulations to the photographer. Well done. Can we have the next image, please?
Sorry.
And we have a score of 83, solid silver award. And I'm going to call on a comment from Glenn.
Loved the graphics in this. Graphics were exceptional. It's something I could read again. Perhaps the only thing that I struggled with was just finding something for my attention to rest on at the end. I just kept searching.
Awesome, thank you. Can we have the next image, please? So all judges, we're basically within a point or so of each other. And we have a score of 70, solid professionals practice. And I'm going to call on Mike. Have you got a comment for the photographer?
Yeah, look, as soon as you've got large areas of similar tones, as in the blue sky, you're going to get banding if you don't go to 16-bit. So just be aware of the processing.
Awesome, thank you. Good feedback there. Can we please have the next image? And we have a score of 77, solid bronze award, and we are going to have a challenge from Paul.
Yeah, I moved myself into silver. The atmospherics and the symbolism and the depth and the subtlety and the quirk factor of the way it's sort of leaning into itself, the way they've handled the highlight of I would assume the sun rather than the moon. I can move around this in a lot of different ways. I enjoy the sort of alliteration and repetition of some of the shapes. We're given a lot of visual depth through the atmospherics and the softness of the background. I just think there's a lot being said here that in an unspoken sort of quiet sort of way that's it's well worth spending time with. I'm on 82.
Thank you. And we will call on Jackie for a comment who's on 72.
Yes, I had a great idea, nice, but there's a merging of the second power pole with the tree, and then I'm getting stuck with this big black piece of tin that's sitting there, and it's dominating my vision. Perhaps if the photographer just repositioned or chose another point of view, I would have been able to really enjoy the landscape. But why is that there?
Okay, Tony, have you got a comment? You're just sitting in the middle there.
I'm on 78, and I can sort of take on board both feelings. I sort of thought about the silver range as well, but then for what Jackie said, I sort of got held in there a wee bit. So I don't know, maybe I'm being a little bit tough. So I think I might just come up into early silver, actually. I think it's worth it for the atmosphere of this image.
Awesome. Back to you, Paul, for a right of reply.
Yeah, Jackie, I do feel like there's a very deliberate sort of sense of design, and where these lines and that overlapping happens, I see that more as a connection through parts of the image. That central structure of the corrugated iron, I see it's part of that sweeping flow of that in the serrated frame. I don't feel like it dominates it. I feel like it does give an anchor point, and it makes me curious as to what's behind. But I feel like I really want to applaud the atmospherics, the symbolism, the design, the quirky sort of way it balances and sort of sweeps in on itself and curves through on this angular structure on the right in particular, and gives us a lot to explore. And they're just kind of hidden away in terms of those shadows, but all the details are there for you to explore if you choose to. I'm on silver. Please come join.
Thank you. Judges all rescore. Paul, if you can just enter your same score. And we have a silver award at 80. So, yeah, always good challenging and nice to see when entries do get lifted. So, can we have the next image, please? We have a score of 83, silver award. However, we are going to have a challenge from Tony, who is on 92.
Yeah, with this image, anybody that knows me knows that I'm a real stickler for burned out highlights. I just can't stand them. Generally, they hurt my eyes a lot of the time. But I actually look at this and I think, oh, actually, I don't mind that spot and how everything's radiating off it and how the shapes almost of the birds mimic there. So there's a balance there, but you know, the density of this image is sublime, and I think you go to that radiation in the sky, you know, the radiating light, and then your eye just rolls comfortably around this landscape, and then you actually really get the feeling of being there, and just those little clouds sitting in, you know, in that bottom right, and just the darkness in the sky. I think it's been handled very well, and I think it's quite artful and just a quiet gold.
Thank you. Mike, I'm going to come to you on a 73.
Yeah, I actually agree, Tony, with everything you've said. I just feel it's a bit wide. I feel like I want to crop on both the right and left-hand sides. Having said that, I agree with what you're saying about the centre of the image. Possibly a tighter square would have made it stronger, but that's not stopping me from coming up.
Thank you. Paul, I'm going to get you to comment.
Yeah, when I first, I guess, felt this image, it felt gold-like in terms of its incredible atmospherics and godlike kind of feel and this beautiful symbolism and capture of the bird in particular. I felt like the weighting of the image was a little bit off for me with how heavy and bulky this large right-hand sort of upper area is. And I feel like the background on the bottom right is beautiful, and I almost want to sweep that underneath the other one because the background underneath the bird is not so resolved or interesting. So I'm sort of getting pushed and pulled in different directions, and I could sort of go either way, I think, Tony.
Tony, back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, I really like what you said about being pushed and pulled there, Paul. And I think that is the strength of this image, is you do sort of waver in and out of those zones, and you get taken on a wee bit of a journey through this landscape. And I think that's its strength. I actually quite enjoy the composition of this. I don't think it needs any more tightness. It's an expansive landscape. You know, a lot of us have been to these places, and you know, I appreciate how hard it is to get good images, and I think this is very good. You know, I'd love to see it come to early gold if you feel you can. Thank you.
Thank you, judges. I'm going to get you to rescore, Tony, if you hold your score. And we have a score of 87, silver distinction. Well done on that conversation, that discussion, and enlightening a few of the other judges for your scoring there, Tony. Can we please have the next image? So that is the power of having 5 judges on a panel. They all see things slightly different, and it's always exciting when one judge, I guess, sees things that other judges may not, and yeah, enlightens them on their vision of the image. And we have a score of 74. And I'm going to come to Glenn for a comment.
Yeah, great placement of the figure, lovely atmosphere to the picture, but it does have quite a flat overall feel to it, and the colour cast to me is slightly off from what the naked eye would be seeing.
Yep, and Jack is using her cropping tools, and maybe suggesting a little crop might also help. Okay, can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 76, Bronze Award. And I'm going to call on, no, are you challenging that, Paul?
Oh, I just want to make a comment.
Comment then, yes.
Yeah, I feel like the strength of this image is all in the center and this beautiful sort of held moment. And I feel like by the inclusion of so much more around the outside, it's hinting at a reflection, but not quite there. It's a super, super tight crop on the top left and it's lost, but this beautiful light shape and all the subject matter is quite well included in the middle, and a square or a vertical crop in the middle would have really strengthened it for me considerably.
Awesome. Yep, and several judges nodding away there in agreement. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 77, solid Bronze Awards.
Oh, multiple challenges.
Multiple challenges. Can you, sorry, can I just...
Mitchell for the challenge.
So just a moment. Okay. I'm going to take challenge from Glenn.
Look, I was up there on 88. This is not the sort of image I traditionally like, but there's so much about it that I ended up loving. What I can see in the texture is sublime. I love the palette, the way it's balanced from dark to light. There's a real elegance for this photograph, and I feel it sort of deserves a bit more. I think we've marked it a little harshly. That lovely, soft, subtle light quality to it really adds to that as well. There's a lot going on in the subtle end of the palette, and I think it's done the subtle things really well. I think it's deserving, certainly in the silver range, but I'm calling even further. Let's go silver with distinction.
Awesome. Mike, I am going to come to you.
Yeah, I gave the 67 professional practice. I actually found the image out of balance. I found the right-hand side muddy. I find the strength of the image all to the left with those two beautifully rendered vertical trees. The technique's appropriate to that, but the right-hand side really detracts for me.
Okay, can I get a comment from Paul?
So in support with Glenn, I think I'm going to come up and join you, my friend. I feel like there's this incredibly elegant, brooding, depthful atmospheric here. There's almost a sense of menace in that depth of black at the top that balances and pulls me through from those lighter kind of sweeping rights. And there's a lovely sensuality about that use of the curve as well. And the lighting's exquisite. I feel like it's a little bit easy to overlook the depth of this image. I'm going to come up with the silver distinction.
Thank you. And Michael, Jackie, sorry.
Thank you. Because I'm seeing a lot of technique here, and I'm not really feeling a sense of place or authenticity to the trees, because the trees are straight, but they've been bent, and I'm finding I'm getting lost into those darks. And I just, that's why I'm down on professional practice.
Glenn? Oh, sorry, Jackie, you've got a few more words. Okay, Glenn, if you got right of reply there, thank you.
Right. Mike, I actually agree with you 100% on the crop. I would like to have seen it as either a square or probably a 4-5 crop losing the right-hand side. Like, I couldn't agree more. But everything else I'm loving about it. Jackie, I don't mind the curve of that tree. In fact, it adds to the elegance, as Paul said. It adds to the sensuality of the image, and I think that's quite powerful. The crop is what's stopping me going higher, but everything else, the longer I sit with this image, I feel there's a genuine emotive quality to it. It's something I can read into. The balance of light and dark is quite sublime. Let's go silver with distinction.
Okay, judges, please rescore. can hold your score, Glenn. And we have a score of 85, silver with distinction. Congratulations to the photographer. Well done. Can we have the next image, please? We have a score of 82, a solid silver award. And can I get a comment from Tony?
Yes, I was sitting on the average. I really enjoy the crop, and I find that maybe the composition a little bit jarring with the colour, so it's sort of not really flowing. You sort of get stuck in certain areas, so it just wasn't firing on to bring it up higher, but it's still beautifully seen and captured in lovely detail.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 77, solid bronze award.
Challenge.
And Paul, you are going to challenge.
Yeah, I feel like it's easy to award this just for the incredible atmospherics alone and leave it there. But where I feel like it stands above that for me is this almost feels like I'm being rolled over or overwhelming by these layers and tapestries, and there's almost this sense of movement that it's just trying to push so far over the top of that tiny little base of landscape at the bottom. And I'm just almost overwhelmed by the strength of the sky, and that's not a common experience. And we're given a lot of breadth. There's this linear kind of aspect that lets us flow and curve around the scene and brings us back around through the other curves. There's beautiful sort of detail and structures to explore both in the sky and in the landscape below. And we're given a gorgeous amount of breathing room and a wonderful sense of flow to sit with and be really present with. I think it's more than a bronze.
Tony, I'm going to come to you first off.
Yeah, I'm quite low, just a professional standard, I suppose you could say. You know, I really enjoy the sky, although it's it's been worked quite a bit, which I don't mind. But I suppose what I'm let down by is the foreground, just that's you know, messiness. It's just quite untidy and a bit jarring on the eye compared to the flow of the rest of the image. And I sort of think you get pulled around and stuck there. That's how I feel. But yeah, beautiful sky, that's for sure.
Mike, I'm going to come for you for a comment.
Yeah, just a couple of points. One of them is I think the crop is actually too tight. I'd like to see a bit more of the land. And the main problem with the land is I really feel, just by looking at all the trees, that it's tilting to the right. I don't feel as if it just feels a bit tight at the bottom, and I don't know. That sky is so powerful, it needs some space.
Thank you. Paul, right back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, interestingly, that thin strip of landscape is actually what pushed it over. It feels like the sky is almost tripping over that tiny little step of landscape and just falling on top of us with its weight and immensity and majesty. And it's actually the thinness of that strip that really does that for me. If it was a strong, thick, larger point, I'd be forced to sort of come back, and it wouldn't feel like that sky is just falling over the top of me and wanting to sort of envelop me, which is how it sort of presents. So to me, that's its an unusual and quirky strength, and it's that impact and that falling kind of feel. So enough for me to move it up beyond a high professional practice into something a little bit more impressive and powerful.
Thank you. Judges, rescore, please. So it's currently sitting on 77.
Hey, is the red box in the wrong spot?
Yes, we've got that.
Thanks.
And it has moved to 78, so 1 more point. And who knows how important that 1 point may be. Can we please have the next image? So every point matters in the judging, where the finalists are selected from the top scoring 3 entrants based on their highest scoring 3 entries. And quite often it comes down to a fraction of a number in terms of determining who makes the finals. And we have a score of 73. And all very, very similar there. And I'm going to call on maybe Mike, if you've got a comment for the photographer.
Yeah, there's a bit of imbalance with the composition. That little piece on the right-hand side is distracting, that dark area, but also it's flat and muddy in the foreground, which is completely opposed to what's happening in the sky.
Awesome, thank you. Can we please have the next image?
All's out.
Paul, okay, if you can step down, can I please bring in Bruce?
Yeah, I'm here.
And we have a score of 87, silver with distinction. However, we are going to have a challenge from Tony.
Holy Mother of Jesus. I'm on 98. This is just mind-blowing. I mean, this is, to me, it's perfection. Just the strongest of abstracts. I mean, you're thinking, how did this even happen in this category? What is it we're looking at? Because it's just so sensuous and sensual. It's just drop dead gorgeous. I mean, look at the highlights in the right places, and the ebbs and the flows, the gold. This is just a magical tapestry of a landscape. It just really appeals to my soul. I mean, this could hang on your wall forever, and it's just so luscious, inviting. Compositionally, I think it's perfect. The lighting on it is superb, and the highlights in the right places, and just those crisscrossing lines. Everything's just in there perfectly. I love the little dark spots and the light. This has been masterfully done to perfection. 98.
Thank you. I'm going to come to Mike, who is sitting on 81.
Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, Tony, the more I'm liking it, which is a good sign. I think what confused me was I didn't know what I was looking at, and that's not all bad. So the longer I'm looking at it, the more dimension I'm seeing, especially with that curve on the left-hand side. I sort of feel as if I'm looking at something three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. So look, keep talking. I'm very interested.
And I'm going to come to, I think we might all get a chance to talk. I'm going to come to Glenn first off.
I was right there in the middle on 84. Maybe to shed some light on what I think it is, could be wrong, is it's the roof of the Gutianum, and it is this, and it's designed, if I'm right in thinking, it's designed to give you the feel and flavour that this has. It's meant to put you in this space. I believe it's a multiple exposure, which is why I didn't go into gold, because there's so much elegance in the design in its own right. The overlayering quality actually breaks up some of that beauty for me. Colour palette is spectacular. 84. I'm at least coming up to a silver with distinction, but Tony, keep talking.
I'm going to come to Jackie for a comment first off.
Yes, I was a bit with Glenn there, because it is a sculpture or an architectural piece that is a lot of the creativity, perhaps, or some of it has come from that artist. And then it's an interpretation of that. So that was holding me back. I also felt that I really thought the right-hand side was a little bit too weighted, a little bit too dark for my eye to get pulled through there.
Okay, Bruce, come back. Comment from you.
Yeah, well, this is another one of those images for me, which the more I look at it, the more I engage with it. And two little comments come to my mind: lift me up and roll me over. And I just love that it does that to me. So there's that lovely dynamic of the vertical line that lifts me up and then gently rolls me over and on the other line through into the darker place. And I'm just totally relaxed with this image. And the more I look at it, you know, that feeling together with the tones and colors in this just settle me so beautifully, and I feel so relaxed. So I'm definitely popping up on this one.
Okay, and you scored that 87. So I'm going back to you, Tony, for right of reply.
Yeah, I suppose, no, I don't really care what it is, to be honest, but yeah, thanks for enlightening me to what you think it is. You know, the photographer has added their own layers to this. You said it yourself, Glenn. And it has got some orange in it, so you should at least be interested in that. But yeah, I just think that it's such a beautiful interpretation, and it's just so multi-layered and interesting as an abstract art piece. And in this category, I don't think it gets much better. So I'd love to see you come up to a gold of distinction if you feel like you can. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tony. Please rescore, judges. And we have a gold award at 91. Good conversation there. Well done, everybody. Congratulations to the photographer. Okay, I'm going to just bring back Paul for Bruce. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
And can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 72, solid professional practice. And I'm going to call on Mike for a comment, please.
Yeah, there's nothing that holds my eye. I keep leaving the frame. In fact, I keep leaving the frame and looking what's outside it more than inside it, because there's nothing to focus on.
Thank you so much. Can we please have the next image? I do want to thank our sponsor, Lumix, for sponsoring this category. And in fact, also the second prize for the Landscape Open category. And we have a score of 73. And all very, very similar. Jackie, have you got a comment?
It's hopefully a helpful comment. Is that it's lovely looking straight down, but if the drone or whatever it is was higher, you wouldn't get the parallax error. We'd be able to see straight down on top of all of those features.
Okay, thank you very much, Jackie. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 82, silver awards. And again, all very, very close there. Can I have a comment from Paul?
Yeah, what a gorgeous piece of art. You know, there's this lovely interplay of color and design and shapes. It feels like it's paying homage to some sort of artwork that's just teasing in the back of my head of what I might have known. Color palette's divine. I'm still trying to decide about the balance between the top and the bottom. I'm not sure how I'd improve it tonally, but I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we please have the next image? And we have a score of 81 silver awards. And we're going to have a challenge from Paul.
Wow, what a treat to be able to spend more time with this and just move around all its sort of beautiful intricacies and shapes and patterns and swirls and lines. I feel like there's references to Aboriginal kind of dot painting. There's a reference to a planetary, almost like global kind of shape and feel and dimension. There's beautiful sweeping curves. There's sort of this understated sort of sense of color, but beautiful time of day that it's shot. The detail is exquisite, and I have no idea what it is, and I don't mind at all. And yet I can spend a lot of time working my way around different little pockets in an extremely enjoyable and intriguingly presented way. I'm on solid silver distinction.
Thank you. Can I come to Glenn for a comment on 73?
Yeah, Paul, I liked it for a lot of the same reasons as well. I don't need to know what it is. That's part of its magic. But then I found some really interesting parts of this photograph that chopped off by the circle overmat, and that really bugged me. I loved what was happening on the right-hand side and wanted to see a bit more of it. Then there was the two circles at 11 o'clock and let's say 5 o'clock. And, you know, they were chopped off in the middle, and that just felt quite, it created tension in the image that the rest of the photograph didn't need or deserve. But hey, I was at 73, so I'm certainly going to come up a bit, no problem there. Keep talking.
Jackie, can I come to you for a comment?
Yeah, it kind of felt like a moonscape to me, Glenn. That's how I could appreciate those. I scored it at 84. I can appreciate the cutting off, and the circular cutting is works really well to abstract it even further. I'm listening to Paul. You know, it's quite endearing, and the colours are gloomy and like a moon. You know, it's kind of fun. Yeah, I'm still on 84.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Paul, for right of reply.
Yeah, I feel like there's almost an uncomfortableness in the muted sort of darker palette, and that's reinforced by that tension because those elements are cut off in lots of different areas. It's not just one sense of deliberateness, but that's part of its intrigue for me. I also almost feel like there's a footprint of the author in the bottom in this shape that literally looks like they've just stamped themselves in there. And if you're looking really closely, I don't know how it's possible, but there's almost this layering of either tire tracks with the kind of dot painting sort of textures over the top, which I don't even know how it's even possible. And again, I come back to that global round sort of, as Jackie says, sort of moonscape type element to it. It's deeply intriguing, very, very innovative, and nobody's going to know what the heck it is. And that's really part of its deep interest. I'm on silver. Please come join.
Thank you, judges. Can I get you to rescore, please?
Sorry, can I just ask what score you're asking for, Paul?
Silver distinction.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
So it's currently sitting on 81. Paul, can you put your same score in, please? And we have a score of 85, silver with distinction.
Very good.
Awesome work, guys. Well done. Now I'm going to do a quick judge change. Selena, can I bring you back on? And Tony, you can take a break. And Matt, I'll bring you back on. Paul, you can take a little break.
Go team.
You got the print up there?
Next image, please.
Okay.
And we have a score of 70, solid professional practice. And I'm going to invite Glenn. Oh, no, I won't. I'll invite Matt for a comment, please.
Yeah, it's beautiful tree trunks and a great subject chosen by the photographer. I feel like the time of day is hurting a little bit because that sky is quite bright and distracting. Perhaps look at revisiting this location if you can, maybe with a moody sky or something that complements those trunks.
Awesome, thank you very much. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 76, bronze award. And let me just, and Selena is going to challenge.
Yeah, I actually spent a bit of time with this. It's beautiful. The color palette of this is so delicate and enjoyable. You know, there are a couple of things that I would improve in terms of cropping, but I probably would have gone a bit higher if they had have been addressed. I think for me, the value of this really is sitting in those sheep on the right-hand side that, you know, so I didn't even see them to start with because I was enjoying the rest of the image first. So really love to hear some comments from other people about what they do or don't like about this. But yeah, I think this is worthy of a silver.
Okay, I will come to Mike for a comment.
Yeah, look, I totally agree with you about the foreground. It's definitely the sheep and the mist, the fences are all fantastic, but why such a big sky? It's just not bringing anything. In fact, if anything, it's detracting from the power of the foreground.
Yeah, awesome. And we will have Glenn want to comment?
Just a quick comment. I had it sitting in there at 77, and if those trees and the nearer trees weren't overlaid behind the trees behind it, I think it would have gone a lot higher as well. That just made it the foreground a bit messy for me.
Awesome, thank you. Right of reply there, Selena.
Yeah, look, I definitely hear and agree with those comments. I think that's where I sort of said, Mike, if it had been cropped, it would have been stronger for me. And in terms of, you know, sort of the overlay of those trees, you know, like I'm not sure how else this could have been shot in order to avoid that. I think the way that the fence line has been, the photographer has been very careful in terms of getting the fence line so it's not overlapping. There's going to be some level of overlap with a landscape that's got this much detail and this much layer to it. You just step beautifully through the landscape right from the foreground right through, and it's been, you know, very well handled. And like I said, if I would have gone even higher if it had been cropped out a bit in the sky and touched from the sides. But I'm asking for silver. We're sitting on 76 and we're so close, and this is an image that I'd really love to reward the photographer with for that very clever separation in that, particularly in that foreground area. Yeah, so I'm in silver. I'd like you to go there too.
Awesome. Judges, rescore, please. And we have a score of 78. It has moved a couple of points, a score of solid bronze. Thank you, judges. Can we have the next image, please? And we have a score of 77, solid bronze award. And I'm going to call on Jackie for a comment, please.
Yeah, I know this scene very well, and the choice the photographer made just to separate that centre pole from the rock creates a little bit of tension in there. I'm just wondering whether it could have had a little bit more space, but it's a beautifully toned image and lovely sense of place and climate.
Fantastic, thank you. Next image, please. And we have a score of 74. And I'm going to come to Selena just for a Mike, you're happy to have a comment for the photographer?
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got some banding on that sky. It's another problem of just using the wrong bit base.
Awesome. Thank you. We will just have a judge change. Mandarin, I'll get you back in, and Jackie, you can take a little break. And can we have the next image, please? Scores, please, judges. And we have a score of 75, bronze award. And I'm going to call on Glenn for a comment, please.
Really enjoy the tonal range. The palette's rather beautiful, but then the overlap of the design is so busy. It fights with the subtlety of the colour palette.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, and some judges nodding there. Next image, please. And we have a score of 80, a silver award. We are going to have a challenge from Mandarin.
This is the moon landing personified. It is such a cool way of displaying a kitchen implement, and it is been very well crafted. That really subtle monochromatic tone, the slight warm tone with the very harsh shadows, makes it very believable that it is actually the moon, because you've got that black background with those shadows, all the little details in the landscape just really make a very cool image. I'm on a solid silver distinction, and I think it is showing masterful creative interpretation.
Thank you. Selena, I'm going to come to you for a comment. You're on 76.
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm not sure what sort of kitchen implement we're talking about here, but I don't really care actually. It's just fascinating. I spent ages looking at it and sort of trying to work out what it was and where it was and how it was done. So yeah, I'm listening. I think it's really fascinating. I'll come up, but I'm curious to hear more.
Mike, I'm going to come to you. You're in the middle.
Yeah, I find this absolutely unique and eye-arresting and intriguing, and I guess the landscape that it's sitting on, they've made so moon-like that you just have to go, wow, this is original. Let's go for it. Silver distinction for sure.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Mandarin for right of reply.
So glad you asked, Selena. For those of us, I'm not one of them, that loves buying those expensive Alessi products, that is a juicer, an orange juicer. So I hope that answers your question. And I think that is just very clever use of an everyday object to create this piece of art, which is absolutely solid silver distinction, without a doubt.
Awesome. Judges, can I get you to rescore, please? So you're all going to go and Google this afterwards, aren't you? And we have a silver distinction at 87. Well done.
Can I just say, therein lies. I just publicly on live judging made it obvious that I really don't spend enough time in the kitchen.
Who cares if someone else does it for you, hey?
Yep, any day.
That's awesome. Okay, can we have the next image, please? I'm going to, can I get Bruce to pop in for Glenn, please?
Julie?
Yep, Bruce, if you can just judge this entry. And we have a score of 79. Now, no one is able to challenge. However, we will go to a review. So if you can move to your review column. It is currently sitting at 79, a bronze award. Please enter 79 if you wish it to stay at bronze, or 80 if you wish it to move to silver. And we have a score of 80, silver award. Congratulations. Can I get a comment, please, from Matt?
Yeah, very enjoyable lines, and it's well, for an organic scene, it's been lined up and aligned quite well on those edges. I think what would have elevated it just a little bit more would be maybe some other element that could play off the tractor in a different part of the image.
Awesome, thank you very much. Thank you, Bruce. I'll bring back Glenn. And can we have the next image, please? we have a score of 75 bronze awards. And we are going to have a challenge from Mike, who is sitting on 83.
Yeah, I think I see the humour in this, because this is a wedding site. This is where brides and grooms always get photographed, and you have the New Zealand icon, the sheep, and you actually have to look at it's beautifully balanced. The foreground, the tones of it stand out against that misty background. Beautifully placed, well seen, with great humour.
I'm going to come to Selena for a comment on 71.
Yeah, look, it looks like a wonderful location. For me, I think the graininess of it is just pulling it away, particularly in the background. And also it feels like it's leaning to the left. So yeah, I'm listening, but yeah, that's what's pulled it down for me.
Mandarin.
Yeah, what Selena said, but also it feels a little bit muddy, and I think with something like this, the photographer had an opportunity to perhaps sit with it and take a few more frames, which I'm sure they did. So the sheep on the right has got such personality. It's like The Far Side, if anyone knows that cartoon. It's almost on a slight tilt in itself, which adds to the story. But the one on the left is it seems sort of between what it should be doing. So I'm struggling to find the character or the connection between either the two sheep or, towards the audience.
Okay, Mike, I am going to come back to you for right of reply.
Yeah, look, I'm a low silver. About the grain, Selena, I see that as mist. I see this as a rainstorm coming through, and that's how a background would look. But also it's added to the separation of the foreground and the background. Without that misty feel, you wouldn't get the standout of the sheep. I totally agree about the two sheep. I guess one of the sheep's wondering about getting married or not. Who knows?
Okay, judges, can I get you to rescore, please? And we have a score of 80, a silver award. Congratulations, good conversation there. And who knows whether the sheep got married. We won't
it's
find
just got
out,
cold
will we?
feet.
Exactly. Okay, thank you, judges. That brings us to the end of this category, the landscape and camera category. We do want to thank our sponsor, Lumix. Really appreciate their support at this year's awards. We also want to thank all our judges. What an amazing panel of judges we've had today. All incredibly experienced, and well done to you all. Appreciate the time you've taken to come and be part of the judging. We are now going to show the promo from Lumix, and yeah, again, thank you very much. And then we will take you to the slideshow of all of the entries from the category. But before we do that, I do want to say a big thanks to the team, the team that's sitting around the country. Michael for running the Zoom and live streaming in Palmerston North, for Harry up in Auckland, and for Shah and Paul down in Christchurch, and the team we've got here as well.
Well done, everyone.
Well done, guys.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, so thank you very much, judges. If you want to hang around just for a little bit, we will chat to you as soon as the promos are finished.
Is the camera on?
By the way.
Yeah.